Nick Ripplinger is an Army veteran and the president of Battle Site Technologies. That's a company based in Dayton. His company takes ideas that have been researched and developed by the military and turns them into new products to help people with dangerous jobs, like service members, police officers, and first responders. He spoke with fellow Army veterans Dave and Diamond Smith about his military experience and how it prepared him to launch his own business.
So we're here with Nick today, and he's going to inform us on Battle Site Technologies and how he came to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your military background.
Yeah, so military, I had way too much fun in high school, so went off and did the Army thing fresh out of, 17 years old.
What was your profession in the Army?
Yeah, so I came in as a military police officer and then finished up as a protective service agent. Honestly, I had a great career. Spent a lot of time in Iraq and Afghanistan. It was the early 2000s. Ended up my career at NATO, running the protective service detail on the operations side, and honestly just had the time of my life running around Europe. I got out of the military, went into corporate, big defense. Loved every minute of it. Fell in love with manufacturing. Fell in love with the mission of delivering technology to the warfighters, but kind of just got burnt out also at the same time of big corporate America, and really just kind of burnt out, like, what am I going to do next? And I had a great mentor of mine who was like, hey, you don't have to have the great idea. Like, you know how to run this business, you know the ins and outs, you know all the mechanics of it. I was like, yeah, but I don't have the idea. And he's like, well, go to the Air Force, go look through all these patents. You can license these technologies that the labs have invested in, whether it's the Army labs or Navy labs, AFRL, here in our backyard in Dayton, seemed the natural, easiest fit.
So the crayon, what does it do, and how did you come up with this idea?
It's an infrared crayon. You ride on any hard surface. It lights up like an IR chem light, so you can see it with night vision goggles and sensors. We licensed that core piece of technology from the Air Force, so we actually took that piece of technology, had this beautiful business model, right? We're going to start building them. Kind of if you build it, they will come. We're going to sell millions of these in year one. We're now on like year 8. We had to rebuild the chemistry from the ground up. It's just been a wild ride, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I just think there's so many different avenues out there. If you're passionate and willing to put in the effort, that you don't necessarily have to have that, initial spark, that first idea. If you've got that passion and that drive, you can go pick up somebody else's kind of, fundamental research. I will say it's not always applied research. It's definitely kind of more on the fundamental side, but you could take that and run with it and, spin out a company from, a DoD-funded lab.
When you get out of the Army or the military as a whole, you have this, like, what am I supposed to do with myself? And it wasn't that I didn't fit in, but I just didn't know how to act in like a regular business setting, if that makes sense.
I still don't, man. We're going on 15 years. But I think, like, the biggest thing that I found, like, during that transition time was, like, the lack of purpose, the lack of mission, the lack of community. And I honestly think that's, like, another driving force, too, how we built Battle Site and the people that we brought on board and, how we try to grow the culture is very, like, militaristic, not in, like, a bad sense, but, like, the sense of community and the purpose-driven organization.
And as a veteran, that's what it is to me. That's what it is to be a veteran. How are you lifting your community up?
I feel like we have that obligation to one another as brothers and sisters to kind of just keep that torch going and pass it on. And I think, the military, number one skill set they taught us is problem solving. And problem solving when people's lives are on the line.
Right.
Super fortunate now, the problems I face, no one's going to really die if we make the wrong decision. But when you're downrange or in those combat scenarios or in those training environments where problems arise every single mission, and how you adjust to them is life and death. It really, really kind of puts into focus what great problem solvers every single military veteran is.
That was Army veteran and entrepreneur Nick Ripplinger talking with fellow vets Dave and Diamond Smith. Dave and Diamond completed WYSO's Community Voices training program and produced this season with editing support from fellow Community Voices graduate and producer Mojgan Samadar. Veterans Voices is supported by Wright Pack Credit Union and the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission and is produced here at the Eichelberger Center for Community Voices.